Critics often ask me, oh, what are you fighting for? Don't worry, everything will be okay soon. Well, to that, I only have to point to the COVID tyranny spreading across the world to prove why the fight we've had these past 2 years to maintain our civil liberties and freedoms here in England has been so important. And I will keep up that battle on behalf of the Welsh and the Scots, who remain controlled by Mad Dog Drakeford and scheming Sturgeon. But as of this day, ground zero of the fight is in Canada, where Justin Trudeau's mask has slipped as he launches a tin-pot COVID dictatorship in a bid to stamp out any resistance to his draconian policies.
We're entering the third week of illegal blockades that have been disrupting the lives of too many Canadians. The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations. We'll always defend the rights of Canadians to peaceful assembly and to freedom of expression, but these blockades are illegal, and if you're still participating, the time to go home is now.
By invoking emergency powers, Trudeau is treating the Freedom Convoy as if they are terrorists or an opponent in war, rather than honest Canadians exercising their God-given democratic right to fight for bodily autonomy and fighting against discriminatory and divisive vaccine mandates that are not anchored in science. The Freedom Convoy has won hearts across the globe and sparked similar demonstrations in countries from France to Israel to New Zealand because of their joyful and positive message, despite its members being unfairly shut out of society. We see through Trudeau's desperate attempts to brand these Canadians as some sort of far-right extremists, because they're nothing of the sort. And tonight, I remind you, it is Mr. Be Kind himself, Trudeau, who has been advancing the cause of segregation through hatred, through lies, and through downright nasty rhetoric. Do you remember how he sparked the formation of the Freedom Convoy in the first place after he made sweeping statements in an incendiary TV interview smearing those who have turned down a COVID vaccine as racist and sexist?
Yes, we will get out of this pandemic by vaccination. We all know people who are a little bit hesitant. We will continue to try to convince them. But there are also people who are fiercely against vaccination. They are extremists who don't believe in science. They're often misogynists, also often racists. It's a small group that muscles in. And we have to make a choice in terms of leaders, in terms of the country. Do we tolerate these people?
Not only are those comments untrue, they're also particularly ironic. Coming from there he is, Mr. Blackface himself, who saw absolutely no issue turning up to parties with black paint smeared over his smug mug time and again. Trudeau had previously excused anger from vaccinated citizens against those who had made a different choice.
People see that we're in lockdowns or serious public health restrictions right now because the risk posed to all of us by unvaccinated people get angry.
It was Trudeau who pathetically fled Ottawa and claimed he had COVID to avoid any sort of dialogue with the Freedom Convoy. When the slime ball eventually re-entered public life, it was to spread further lies about the protesters.
People of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner, or a Confederate flag, or the insults and jeers just because they're wearing a mask. That's not who Canadians are.
Okay, but it appears that in Trudeau's world, Canadians will use authoritarian measures to shut down the most important popular resistance of our time, including unprecedented state interventions to starve them of finances by, wait for it, freezing the personal and corporate bank accounts of protesters. But the world is now wise to Trudeau's game and other leaders who have used COVID to enforce extreme state control on their people, like New Zealand's Jacinda Ardern, like France's Emmanuel Macron, who are facing pushback like never before. Remember, these are the folk with whom the Labour leader Keir Starmer aligns. But we will never again let them lock us in our homes, destroy our businesses, cause us to miss our loved one's funeral and force us to vaccinate our healthy children with a jab that could cause them harm. And we will never again let them segregate society, casting out millions of nurses, teachers, truckers, midwives, and even doctors who have made a different decision about a medical procedure. COVID has caused the moral collapse of the left wing internationally, which has proven itself to be hateful and intolerant. We reject the policies of fear, and we support the brave Canadian truckers whose honks have been heard all around the world.